hymn that is dear to our hearts. So thank you for singing. So at the beginning, just when we gathered here, and I said to Lauren, this is my gavel. And so she said, are you going to beat Jesus to death? I know it's been done by people. I'm not going to do it. But with this, I officially convene the 55th, the Diocese of Idaho Convention. We begin. Call to order. All right. Now, first, before we go into anything, I want to invite the chair of the Credentials Committee to let us know what's going on and if we have enough quorum.
Sue Bowen, St. Michael's, Boise, the first report of the Credentials Committee. Of 118 eligible lay delegates, we have 97 present. Of 57 eligible clergy, we have 36 present. We do have a quorum. And Bishop, may I take a point of personal privilege and come up there for a minute?
Yes.
Stand up for a second. So there has been a tradition in the Diocese of Idaho for the past number of years that there has been a mascot, shall we say. And the 13th mascot of the diocese retired with the 13th bishop. So I would like to present you the 14th mascot, Buddy Buddy. Now, put your own stamp on your 14th, on the 14th episcopate. And because Buddy Buddy's new and you're new, you both need another Bishop Buddy.
Oh.
Thank you.
Those of you know that's my favorite cartoon character. Thank you, Sue, and thank you. All right, and we have to make a slight change in the agenda, detailed agenda that you have. That's my mistake because I didn't know exactly how we are going to do all of this together. So this is my first facilitating a convention for the diocese. I've attended conventions for a long time, but it's the first time I'm actually leading one. So going through all of the stuff that we have had, I think I made some mistakes, and that is why I had to make a slight change in the agenda. That is, the greeting from the bishop needs to go after the election of the secretary and the treasurer, because we need a secretary to actually take the minutes down. All right. So with that change, it is two elected positions. That is the secretary of the convention and also the treasurer. They are elected positions. So we have two people already, you will see, that is Curtis Kissel and Barbara Rudin, treasurer. So are there any more nominations from the floor for this beautiful, wonderful job? Well, okay. Yes, Corinne. Hey, thank you. So with that, now in your packets, you have a green card and a red card. So, yes. Okay, there you go. By acclamation. Or seconded by? Second. Hold off. Okay. Let us all do it. Thank you, Curtis, and thank you, Barbara. Barbara sitting all the way to the back. So, all right. And the next piece is the minutes from the Diocesan Convention of 2021. I invite Curtis Kissel. Now, no, I'm going to let this be held, dealt by Curtis. Come on up.
So on the website of the diocese was the 2021 minutes from last year. If you would like me to read those in full, there's probably 15 pages. We can do that if there's any changes or additions you would like to make. Seeing none. Minutes accepted, Bishop?
All in favor?
All in favor? I like it.
Okay, no opposed. Okay. All right, that's good. Otherwise it'll be a long time this evening for us sitting here. Okay, I want to thank you for coming together this evening and for the wonderful gathering that we have. And there are so many things that we need to get through. And I think we will get through all of those. I'm going to take my notes so that I make some announcements before I do the presentation. Number one thing is that those of you who have a cell phone, to please silence the cell phone. Put it in silent mode so that all this during these conversations, it doesn't interrupt it. And the second is today's Veterans Day. It's a great honor, great blessing for us to have veterans among us. Those of you who are veterans, would you please stand? Thank you for your service. It's been an incredible blessing. And I'm going to start with some apologies for the mistakes that you will see in the notes, in the agenda, and some of the mistakes that we have made. And I want to tell you, this has been a hard work for a month and a half. We got to plan and put all this together. A lot of people worked very hard. So I'm very grateful for people who worked very hard. And you will see at the stage here, Carol, without her, there is no way we would have been able to do half of what we have right here. So with a round of applause, let us thank Carol. And since we do not have too many people running for election, the names who are nominated are already in the bulletin. And so, the voting is pretty easy. Either we do by acclamation, as Mother Karen just mentioned earlier, in the voting time tomorrow, or we raise the red or green card to make that elections. And if we have somebody else nominated, definitely we will go into voting for sure. And so we will figure that out tomorrow, but I just want you to be aware of it. Now, those of you who want to make any comment or motion or any of those conversations, announcements, need to go to these two microphones on the left and right. And first, please state your name and the parish you are from and the reason you are standing at that microphone so that we all know exactly what you're going to address. And if it is a motion, of course, you know that you need a second for the motion or the conversation to go forward. And then one other thing that this year for 2022, we have the deanery representatives in our council. Now, it is last minute appointments and announcements and volunteers who have come forward. Going in 2023, we will start the work a little early, and so that we will be able to fill those places appropriately and following the proper canons, and all of those rules and regulations will be kept. But I do want you to be aware of it. I want to thank those of you who volunteered to serve on different committees and different roles in the diocese. That's an incredible blessing. There are certain appointments that are made. Most of the convention appointments, there is not a whole lot going on, but these are just for us to get to a place so that when we look at the document in 2023, we have something to fall back on and work together. But there is not a whole lot that is otherwise, that is a work that is already involved in it as well. Then resolutions committee, for the resolutions, I apologize. There is a name in that should not have been there. That is Eileen Corner. May her soul rest in peace. It was a mistake that when we got the paperwork, her name was in it, and so I apologize for her name being listed as member of the resolutions committee, but sure, she is praying for us. There is no doubt about that. And then with that, I want to visit with you, to share with you some of my thoughts for our diocese. And then this conversation will continue, and there will be a PowerPoint presentation to have this conversation so that you can also follow some of the numbers, some of the things I'm talking about on the screen. So I would like you to pay attention to what is on the screen to make it easier. So this is an exciting day in the life of our diocese. How blessed I feel being with each of you and those who are joining us from around the diocese and from around the country. We have every reason to celebrate these 2 days to the content of our hearts, because we had been away, and it is wonderful to see, wonderful to gather together. We had a late start to the preparations of this convention as we were all busy with election and transition of a bishop. The General Convention and the Lambeth Conference back to back did not help the situation either. However, I have to say, we have done a pretty good job of making this convention come together and begin anew with a heart ready to meet the challenges ahead of us. Today, before we go in any further, I would like to start this conversation, this convention, with a peace prayer of St. Francis, sung by my daughter, Asha, who is not here. We recorded this some time back, so I invite you to please pray along silently in your heart as we watch her presentation, her singing. Oops. Today, I'm standing here as a fulfillment of a dream that I had on July 21st, 2021. I was in Kansas City, Missouri with my wife, Kimby, for a meeting with the deans of the Diocese of West Missouri. That night, I saw myself in a dream, walking through the mountains and forests, cutting a new pathway. And there were several people with me that evening that work what I was doing, and I knew none of them. And they were all walking with me, making this new path through the mountains and valleys. And I looked at them, we laughed, we talked, we ate together, and we got to know each other better. And as a result, we said to each other, we would like to grow together to that dream what the Lord has for us. And then went on and on and on. And I woke up about 7 times in my dream. Each time I continued where I stopped, which was a total surprise to me. So I wake up and I see the dream and I fall back to sleep. I realize I'm dreaming, and then it goes on and on and on. And on the 7th, 8th time, I woke, I had the last dream, and that dream is what I've pictured right here. And so in my dream, I came to the valley of these mountains, and there was a pool with 3 compartments. And in the 3 compartments, I jumped into the first small pool, and I came out completely refreshed because I heard a voice that said, jump into it, jump into it. I didn't want to do it, but I had to jump in because it was so powerful, the voice that I heard. And I jumped into the second one at the prompting, and I jumped into the third one. And I felt as I came out refreshed, energized, and didn't know what I was supposed to do, except that I had to come out of the pool. And when I came out was that little white chapel next to that pool, and it is closed. So I knocked on the door. Nobody said yes. I opened the door, and all those people who were with me on the mountain, helping me to cut the pathway, were inside. And they all looked and shouted and said, let us build our church together. When I heard that, I had no idea what that meant. I knew there was something meaningful, something powerful about the dream, but what does that actually mean? Where am I supposed to go? What am I supposed to do with that? No idea. Exactly a month later, which is on the 21st of August, 2021, my friend sends me the profile of the Diocese of Idaho. And as I said before, I looked at it and I said, no, I'm not going to read it. And he insisted that I read it. I kept denying it. And finally, at the insistence, I said, okay, I will read it. I read it. And this is what came to my mind. The Diocese of Idaho is looking for me. I said, that's a strange thing to say. So I gave that document to my wife, Kimby, and I said, honey, I want you to read this and tell me what you think. And she read it, and she came back and she said, Jose, the Diocese of Idaho is looking for you. I said, that is strange. So I still didn't believe it. So I gave that to my spiritual director and friend, Mother Kathy Cox. And I said, Kathy, I want you to read this and tell me what you think. So she read it. And then she said, Jose, the Diocese of Idaho is looking for you. So I waited till the last day, and Vicky Logering, if she's here, I sent my papers on the 8th of September, a day before the closing of the nominations, because I didn't know if I should do it. So Mother Kathy shared all this with you before. All to say, at the end of the day, I'm standing here with absolute gratitude and wonder, and wondering what is it that the Lord has in mind for us together. It was not just me. There were a lot of people who we worked together on the mountains to get to a different place. And so I thought I'll put that together, and I photoshopped all the pictures in it. And it does look like, that was my dream. And it is mountainous regions that I'm in Idaho. So in the last 3 months of my visit to 22 congregations and 3 visits to the camp, either on a Sunday or a weekday in the last 2 months, after responding to about 1,700 emails and returning about 1,400 phone calls made or received, and meeting with about 110 meetings in the last 3 months, I have learned one thing, that all of us are looking for someone to care, to walk with and journey together. That's it. Someone to really walk with us, no matter what it is, how big or small or what is going on in our lives, somebody to care. So yes, we want to grow and be sustainable and financially stable, but in the end, all of this boiled down to wanting to be a relevant community of people in our context here in Idaho. That's what I heard again and again and again. So now the question is it possible for us to be relevant? Is it possible for us to be meaningful and sustainable in a state that does not have too many people, 1.7 million people? Episcopalians are about 5,000. And then we are about under 1,000 people attending Sunday on a Sunday morning in our 27 congregations. Is it possible for us to get to a different place? Yes. Before I go into that, I want to make sure you are aware that to be relevant, we need to be accessible to people. We have a brand new website currently nestled under the, you can look at that on your phones before you leave. It is not under episcopalidaho.org, simply because I didn't want to mess that up for time being. And so I said, I'll wait till the convention is over. So if you go to episcopalidaho.net, you will see a brand new website for the diocese, and it will be switched over to .org at the end of the convention so that we don't have to worry about it. And also, I have created over 23 other websites for each of our smaller congregations, brand new, that will be rolled out by the end of the year, which is unique and beautiful and will be accessible, and people will be able to find us, number one. I found every reason for us to grow, transform, and be stable. I found people willing to risk that to make it happen. I saw the generosity of hearts and the desire to become something new in our culture and in our state today. When our missionary Bishop Tuttle began the journey here in Idaho, I'm sure nothing was set up for him to launch into. I'm sure he did not have a great Wi-Fi signal on his horseback. The towers he saw that in distance, I'm sure they were not the Wi-Fi towers that we are so used to seeing. What he saw were simply silos and barns and hard-working people with a deep thirst for good news. That's what he saw. And that what he saw became these little churches all around Idaho. I believe we are in the same predicament. As far as the hope of people are concerned, we have Wi-Fi available in our homes and in our workplaces. But as far as the deep longing of the people are concerned, we are living among people who are tired of political divisions, fears of war, and increasing prices. That's our context today. I don't think there was a whole lot of difference in the context of the people that Bishop Tuttle saw when he was ministering us. He was able to change the face of the church by learning the needs of the time, understanding the people who ministered to and working hard towards achieving his goal, hard missionary work. That's not a pleasant term for many of us. Being missionaries, we have bad taste in our mouth when we talk about missionaries. But the true missionary call is the call of each and every one of us. So here are some numbers for you to look at before I go in. There are 3 skills for us to grow a church: maker instinct, clarity, and dilemma flipping. These were the gifts of Bishop Tuttle. that he had the gift of a maker instinct, being creative, willing to enter into a situation that's hard, and then come up with a solution to meet the challenges of the day. He had the clarity of someone who was called to that ministry, and then he was willing to enter into it no matter what it is. And so all the dilemmas he had became opportunities. And we have the same situation today. So here are some numbers I want you to look at. So this is where we are, where people are. This is on the central deanery. We got about, Christ Shoshone has 15 average Sunday attendance, and members are 15 according to their parochial report. What does that make? 100% of attendance. And Grace Glenferrie has 10 average Sunday attendance with 20 people as members. That's 50% attendance. I think it is absolutely wonderful. Christ Shoshone, however small they are, or Grace Glenferrie with 10 people attending, still it is an amazing number. Holy Trinity Buell, and you can look at those numbers, average Sunday attendance, and the second column tells you the members of the congregation and the amount of money they have pledged a year. And the percentage, what that looks like, average Sunday attendance is based on their numbers. Now, next column is the best part according to me, and that is the population of the town. That is, each of those towns have 1,282 people in Shoshone, 1,313 in Glenferrie, 4,625 in Buell, 51,000 in Twin Falls. It's much more than that now, 1,400 plus in Sun Valley. And so the numbers go down. And now you see a red number there, number 27. We will go there in a minute. Now, when I kept saying at the elections and prior to that, we got 3% of people in every town, regardless of where they are, however small they are Episcopalians, because they think like us. They want to be somebody who is like an Episcopalian, but nobody has told them the message of Episcopalianism. They're waiting to hear that. So imagine that 3% added to the existing number that we have. So each congregation could grow, 38 people in Christ Shoshone, 39 in Grace Glenferrie, 139 in Buell, and 1,535 in Ascension. Those are hypothetical numbers of 3%. And I'm only looking for 1%. Is that possible? 1%. And that will require you and me to work hard. Missionary spirit is what will take us to that 1%, if not the 3%. And there are 3% of people among us, around us, wanting to hear this message of Episcopalians. That's a reality. So I want you to see these numbers for the next deanery, Eastern Deanery, Epiphany, Arco. Look at those numbers and you see another color there in blue, 30, 30, 30. And then there is red color again, 23, 14, and 20 in red color. And then on the right end, you see the number of the green letters that are similar sized towns where we are not present. Do we have an opportunity? Do we have a dilemma flipping call? This was the gift of Bishop Tuttle. Let's look into the next deanery, where people are, the Southwest Deanery. You see the three big churches, St. Stephen's, St. Michael's, and All Saints, have red numbers. I wonder what happened. So the churches that you see, and I'll go for one more and then we will address what those numbers mean. So here is the Western Deanery. with 50%, 48, 42%, 28, 28, 21, 20. Now, those of you who are into data analysis will be delighted that we have these numbers to look into. If you really look into the church history, data matters. Everything that we do and have been doing over the years starts with the 12 apostles, numbers. 12 apostles, 70 people following Christ, 120 people, 3,000 people being baptized. Numbers matter. So when people tell me numbers do not matter, finances do not matter, church is all about spirituality, I want to tell them, oh no. From the moment Jesus began his ministry, numbers they do matter. Finances do matter. And I want us to look at why those numbers are red. Unless we pay attention to those churches with less than 30%, we are on a bad trajectory. Meaning to say, those churches require them to support the members who had been there before. Evangelization is their second priority. Number one priority is caring for the people who are already members of the church. Why do we want to grow if we do not care for the people who are already in the members of the church? Which is going to call us to act. Now, the question is, are these percentages and numbers right? That's the next question. When I went to All Saints in Russellville, they had 650 people on the rolls and about 80 people coming to church on a Sunday morning. Wow, that's incredible. 600 plus people in church and about 80 people attending. What is that percentage? So I began looking deeper into what is the actual number of people, how many are actually in the parish. And then I removed 400 plus people from the rolls. So the next year at the parochial report, All Saints went down from 650 people to 225. So I got a call from the national church. What in the world did you do, Jose? Did you run the people away? No, I did not. I just told the truth. So today I'm going to ask all of our church leaders, please remove those who have moved away, keep the numbers, statistics correct, so that we can actually begin to work based on truth, not based on inflated numbers that some of us really enjoy knowing that I am a priest, I am a bishop for a church with 5,000 people. Really? There are only 900 who are attending church in 27 congregations. I have a lot of work to do. So do you. So one thing starts with really caring for the people who are members of the church. If we do not pay attention to the members of the church now, there is no reason for us to bring in new people. So actually correct the numbers of the people who are attending church, and then look at the percentage, and then look into what the next course of action should be. And if hypothetically, we can look into that, look at the numbers at the bottom. Numerical potential for the Diocese of Idaho is 18,000 people. That's 3%. And I'm going to really make a deal with you and deal with the Lord and deal with the community and say, I don't want 3%, I just want 1%. And that is still better than what we have today. Financial potential, $13 million. That is at the rate of about $450 by a member. Is that outrageous expectation? It is quite possible. Number 3, spiritual potential, immeasurable. It is the youth and the children program, youth, children formation, evangelization. All of these are incredibly possible once we know where we can go. If we don't know where we want to go, nowhere will we reach. And this is only to say where we could go. And our hope is not too high in the sky that we can never get to. Only 1% of our community. Put that in the back of your mind, please. Now, so these are the potential growth churches, or where individual churches need to pay attention to their members currently. St. David's, Grace, St. Andrew's, Emmanuel, Calvary, St. Luke's, St. Francis, Good Shepherd, St. Stephen's, St. Michael's, and All Saints. Now the question is, Bishop, how did you know all of this stuff? These are things you guys reported about you to the parochial report. I didn't make it up. So this data is public. We need to do something about it. Now, to help you with that, tomorrow before you leave, every leader in every congregation, before you leave, our deans have a packet for you with this information for each congregation. It tells you the number of people around 25 minutes around your parish, the types of people, their educational status, the children, what they are looking into, what they want to learn, who they are. Please pick up that packet. It will be a tremendous blessing for you. So who are these people I'm talking about? So these are the statistics of the 3% in Idaho. People who have no religious affiliation, people who are Roman Catholic lapsed, Roman Catholic, or Latter-day Saints, or others, make up to 840,000 people. 3%, 25,200. That is being gluttonous in my desire for the growth of the church. But we can get 1/3 of it, 1%. So now you know we don't need to poach anybody from anyone. There are a lot of people out there waiting to hear the message of good news. And these are the places where we could really potentially look into, and the cost. Lincoln and Hayburn, St. Anthony, Gooding, Hidden Springs, Soda Springs, Garden City, Star, and Burley. What will be our cost? And there it is on the other side. All of these are imaginary, hypothetical, desirable. Until I have a vision, we will never, none of us will get to the vision we have. All my plan here is to just show you the numbers and to inspire you, invite you to do something about it. So what does it take for us to get there? So it's easy to give the numbers, right? It's easy for me to tell you, these are the realities, these are the facts. Bishop, tell us what can we do? That's why I want you to stay here until the last talk tomorrow evening. Because I'll tell you exactly some of the things we can do, and we can make a difference. Simple things you can do. I can show you examples after examples, how some of the things we do makes a difference in the community we are part of. And I don't want to just give you numbers and tell you all of this is possible. We have reported inflated numbers, or we didn't know exactly how we were reporting, how those numbers are going to be used. None of those things. I am a person who wants to be practical in saying things and helping us to get there. So when I said each one of us need to be visible and accessible, I meant it. So starting with the diocesan website to every parish website, being able to be seen by people is important. And then we will get into the next step. There are 2 steps I will give you tomorrow, simple 2 steps that doesn't cost you a dime that you can do to make a difference in the congregational growth and inviting people to our communities. And I want to thank you for indulging me in putting up with these numbers before you. So before I conclude, I want us to spend a few minutes in silence, watch the little video, a minute long, and ask the Lord to be the shepherd for us, leading us to the next phase of the Diocese of Idaho. you. Okay. Thank you again. And I want to make some appointments, convention and diocesan appointments here. And in your agenda, page number 4, you will see the first one, of course, you are all aware, and we had been working with our Aubrey O'Connor. She has been an incredible blessing. She's not here tonight. She had a prior appointment with the Epilepsy Foundation with what she goes through, struggle that she has. And I said, yes, she's excused from tonight, but she will be here tomorrow. And then, so I want to thank Aubrey, and I want to appoint our Chancellor and Parliamentarian, Lauren Murdoch. I'm going to depend on her for all of the process going through, and grateful for the appointment. I hope you are okay with the appointment. With a round of applause, let us thank her for it. I also appointed our intake officer, that is Deacon Mary Ellen Gallagher. Is Mary here, Mary Ellen? No, okay. I did have a conversation with Mary Ellen. We pray that we will not need Mary Ellen's ministry in our diocese. However, I think it is good for us to have somebody to report to in the event of a sexual misconduct, Title IV issues, that you do need to talk to somebody, discreetly, confidentially, reach out to Mary Ellen, and I will publish her phone numbers just so that you are aware. That's the reason why we have Mary Ellen appointed. And then I'm excited to announce the appointment of our new Archdeacon for the diocese, Eileen O'Shea. Eileen. And then also we have Canon to the Ordinary, Emily Van Heis, Reverend Emily Van Heis. And now the question is, who is Canon for Public Relations? What does that mean? I want to first say thank you to Megan Demby. Megan, would you please stand? I've appointed her, Megan Demby, as a Canon. Megan Demby is the wife of Dennis, and they are priests in St. Stephen's. Grateful for saying yes to this call. And what does that involve? What is the role of Canon for Public Relations? Simple words. Her job is to make us look good in public. And she has that experience, and I'm confident that she has done this role, done this ministry before in the Diocese of Bethlehem, correct? Yes, and so I'm delighted for that role. And chaplain to the retired clergy, Jennifer, of course, she is aware, and she'll be doing a wonderful, amazing ministry, and grateful for it. And John Antonin, grateful for their ministry to the retired clergy. And our diocesan historian is Dean Hagerman. I thought I saw Dean. Oh, there you are. Thank you, Dean, for being. And we are going to skip the next page, which is the convention appointments. Many of them are simply names. We may not be using those appointed positions because there is not a whole lot of business for us to do. But in case we have a need, we know where to look to, who are the people we can contact. Next page will be Worship and Liturgy Committee for 2023, not for 2022, simply because we didn't have enough time. But for 2023, I would like to have enough people participate in planning the liturgy and worship for our diocese. That's why you'll see the name here with Chris Harding, Ron Brayman, Anita, Dennis Reed, and Nancy Coons. That we will get to that when time comes around. But just so that you're aware, your names are in it. And then I want to thank those who are on the finance committee. Those are people who are already serving, no new appointments, grateful for their ministry, keeping us all in line. And then serving on Paradise Point, we have several people there, but there are three new people appointed to the Paradise Point committee. Those three, please stand. Nick Dumas and Heidi Bogart and Kimby Tharagan. If you please stand. Thank you for saying yes to serve on the Paradise Point committee. and then serving on Commission on Ministry. These are people who are already on the Commission on Ministry, but there are 3 new people appointed, and they are Dennis Reed from St. Stephen's, and David Wilkins from St. Michael's, and Venerable Eileen O'Shea from St. Stephen's. Thank you. I need approval from the convention. All right, and we have the larger church appointments and assignments. That is Education for Ministry Coordinator is Dr. David Wilkins, and Ecumenical Officer of the Diocese is Reverend Joseph Farnes. And then Global Mission Advocate is our going to be deacon, Ellen Blackman. And one more, before we clap, one more, there is a interesting development, and I'm so delighted that the National Church has appointed Nancy Coons to the Assessment Review Committee and Joint Standing Committee and Planning Arrangements for the National Church. Congratulations to all 4 of you. Now, the next piece, regional coordinators, missioners, coordinators, and communities. A regional missioner serves at the bishop's pleasure in governance and administration in certain regions of the diocese based on the needs of the time. This is a 3-year appointment and may be reappointed as necessary. The title of the regional missioner will be the Very Reverend. This position is currently reserved to clergy serving paid full-time in parishes around the diocese, and for the next triennium, they are the Reverend Leah Caldwell, the Reverend Jonah Kendall, the Reverend Dennis Reed, and the Very Reverend Sean Wall. And I did have a invitation to them, and I am delighted for their ministry. With a round of applause, let us thank them for their ministry. I also would like to acknowledge the Dean of the High Desert School, the Very Reverend Holiday Sanderson is among us. There you go. Thank you for your ministry. Now, as we speak about, Reverend Holiday and the needs of the diocese going forward, we have had a ministry training program through the High Desert School that they used to gather in Cove. However, we got some issues meeting in Cove simply because of the distance that people have to travel to Cove. All of these are detrimental to the growth, and also the discernment process is affected by it. So that requires a little more study and a way of looking into what we can do as a diocese to form people from within our congregations in a way to make it easier for more people to go for ministry. Now this is what is going on. People who are in their 40s, 50s, it's harder for them to go for discernment or training in seminary because they cannot go 9 weekends to 3 days a week to Cove, and financially it is a burden. Dates, it's an issue. If you have young children, they cannot go. So there are lots of things we will be discerning with the help of our new regional missioners and people appointed as coordinators and the clergy and the laity. We will be looking into what can we do to make our training program accessible in our small communities. And that's my goal. I have pitched an idea to the Seminary of the Southwest, and they're very excited for the idea. And I'm very excited for it simply because it will make it possible for young people who are in their 30s and 40s and 50s to explore their call to ministry in the local community, wherever we are from, Placerville to Glenferrie, to wherever small church we have. It is possible for us to make it happen. And so to advance that cause, I've appointed 2 regional coordinators. One is the Venerable Janet King, and the second one from the West Southwest Regional Coordinator will be Reverend Mary Ellen Gallagher, both deacons. And I'm delighted that they said yes. With a round of applause, let's thank them for that. And then we have Tammy Jones, who is the chair of the preaching practicum, and it's coming up. You have the dates there, February 10th through the 12th. And I'm delighted for her leadership, and thank you for continuing that ministry, Tammy. The work of the diocese and leadership is not just the bishop. it includes more people. So we will have two leadership teams, the clergy missional leadership team that involves the bishop, regional missioners, archdeacon, canon to the ordinary as part of that group, who will meet with me and the team as a team to help us advance the cause of ministry in the Diocese of Idaho. We will meet on a regular basis, either on Zoom or in person, however we come up with. I am very much looking forward to their wisdom. We had one meeting and I think it was a wonderful gathering that I had. From what I heard from them, I'm so delighted. So thank you to our regional missioners and our archdeacon and canon to the ordinary being part of it. So they are the clergy missional leadership team. And the second team is a lay leaders team that involves the deans of our 4 deaneries: Sue Boland, Joetta Fulgenzi, Barbara and Bruce Turner, and Paula Dodd. And I'm grateful for their ministry and their willingness to serve the diocese. With a round of applause, let us thank them. And we have had some clergy transitions. As you know, the very Reverend Sean Wall was called to the Diocese of Idaho as our dean from the Diocese of Oregon. Let us welcome Father Sean Wall. And Reverend Dennis Reed from the Diocese of Bethlehem, and Reverend Megan Demby from the Diocese of Bethlehem. Dennis serves as rector of St. Stephen's in Boise. Welcome. We have had the ordination of Deacon Nancy Coons. Now, I think everybody was waiting for her to be ordained, to be appointed to commissions and committees. So thank you, Nancy. Congratulations. I also want to acknowledge 2 of our seminarians, Ellen Blackman and Mary Van Donsel. They are here. Welcome, delighted. May the Lord walk with you. I want to ask the convention, the seat and voice for our staff of the camp and the diocese and other councils who are here. The staff, Marty Beck and Megan Kittredge, Treasurer Barbara Rudin, Standing Committee as Vicky Logering, Rosemary Ash, Karen Onders, Diocesan Council members Nick Duma, Curtis Kissel, and Carolyn Brock, Patty Rowett, and Chris Cole, and the deans Paula Dodd, Sue Boland, Joetta Fulgenzi, Barbara and Bruce Turner. May I request you to, with a round of applause, let us give them the seat and voice for the convention. And the Lord has called Bob Spencer and Susan Spear to his abode. Let us take a few seconds in silence as we pray for them and pray for the family, and especially Father Larry. May the souls of Bob and Susan rest in peace. Amen. So with that, I think the first part of our convention, there is nothing more on the agenda. We don't need to waste our time waiting around unless we have some more announcements or things that we need to address before we go into, we got 15 minutes, and then we will go into our banquet and celebration award ceremony and acknowledgement, and the IEF grant. All of those things will be announced at the banquet time. So announcements, I see Father Sean.
There's a switch on the top there. Bishop Joseph, delegates, clergy, welcome to Boise. Tomorrow we're gathering at St. Michael's. I hope you can all come for a breakfast at 7:30. Parking is a hassle downtown, as you know. We have a small lot at the cathedral, but across Washington Street at the WCA, there's a much larger lot, and that is available to us. So please feel free to park there and around the streets in the neighborhood. For the clergy who will be joining us tomorrow in vesting, we will be vesting in the fireside room right next to the parish hall. Please feel free to vest there, and then we'll head over to the cathedral. Thank you.
Thank you. And also clergy, if you will, after the Holy Eucharist, for us to gather in the sanctuary, for us to take a picture of the clergy together, that'll be wonderful. If you will just go back immediately after the processional hymn, and others can, of course, return to the hall right here. Yes, Joella.
I'm Joanna Kinsey. I am with Paula and Amy Western Diener. And two things. One, look at you people. If there is somebody so that you have, if it's not come to your and you have extra little striped goodie bag and an extra bag of Legos, please let us have them because we that don't. So we want to make sure people get their Legos and goodie bags. Also, you may not have read the center with what to do with these Legos. We are rebuilding the church. You have an opportunity to build your own exciting thing with your Legos. When you're all done, you can take Legos home. If you want to, we'll take them and we will send them up to the camp. So but do take some time. Some of us, myself included, sometimes function better when I can do something with my hands while I'm just sitting there and my mind is spinning to 500 other things. So feel free. Also, my own personal request, convention offerings chair, we have an opportunity to get together for a few minutes. We talked about what are we going to do with the offerings that we get tomorrow. So on page 5, we get convention offerings. If your name's there, would you just give me alcohol? So that we can and talk about what we might do. Thank you.
Any other announcements or? Yes, Sue?
Sue Bowen, St. Michael's Boise. I've only had a few people ask, but if you go to the restrooms, just right down this hallway, there's a number code thing, ignore it, they are unlocked. You don't necessarily have to sit at your assigned table for dinner. Feel free to mingle around. Your instruction card that Joanna referred to said, add to the big instruction at the table in the back. Well, we have people sitting at that table, which is wonderful. But if you wanted to combine something or you could just ignore that one. And if you would prefer to take your Legos to your parish, please do that as well. And it's gonna be a buffet dinner. Is there any way you want us to organize that?
Good question. Before we go into our dinner, we got about 11 minutes left for the dinner. I do want to tell you, some people did mention this to me, that we do not have a bar or an alcoholic drink provided. The hotel does not have a bar. They do not provide it either. But you can buy, if you would like, bottles, and here is a list of things that are available. It is not that I'm ignoring it. Financially, it is not possible for us to have another, the wine provided by the diocese, and individually they do not provide it here either. It's not that we completely ignored it. We thought about it and we found that's not possible for us to do. So going forward, we may have different ideas in 2023 about how we want to do the convention, where we want to do the convention, how expensive should that be? How do we cut the cost for us to having these conventions in places that where we don't have to spend as much as we are spending? But we are very grateful that in the last minute, Red Lion, this hotel, provided us this space, and we are glad we are able to gather here. So even though there are issues, we have our own financial struggles in all of this, I'm so grateful that you are all here and the churches have come together, and we will grow together as one community and look forward to the future together. And if there is nothing else, we will, yeah,
St. Michael's people, if you could, while you're out mingling around, come back and get your shirts.
okay. And the dinner is a buffet. So I think you will find everything what you want in the buffet line.
And Ron Raymond has it now.
Yes, Ron?
Good evening, Ron Raymond, Good Shepherd for Hall. I just wanted to bring to your attention, this year at General Convention, we passed the resolution looking at licensing recordings. My parish, we put together wonderful presentation in the exhibit room. It's not much space in there this year, but please take a look. The other side is referencing the indigenous resolutions that passed the general this year. That reference to my work with the. So please take a look, and we'll be there and talk. See you.
Thank you, Ron. If you would like to buy the wine, it is available at the counter, at the check-in counter. So they will be able to give you, buy the wine from there. And for the dinner, the plan is those who are on the right end, the first table will begin and then go straight, and then from back, come forward and make this into. Am I making sense? Starting with the first table on the right side and go backwards. Okay, let us pray and ask the Lord to bless the meal. Bless us, O Lord, and these thy gifts which we are about to receive from thy bounty through Christ, O Lord. Amen.
Amen.
Ready to eat? Right.
Oh, is it right there?
Right
Oh,
there.
yeah.
Yeah.